Okay, welcome everybody to the September 17th, 2023 edition of Speaking of Zane. Happens to be our 243rd session. Speaking of Zane, we started doing this in August of 2018, so a couple of years before COVID even. So we've been at it for quite some time. I guess that's 5 years now. Hard to believe. 5 years you've been listening to this old man harp on and on about a variety of topics. But I am glad you guys are here. Did a little prep work today for this session of Speaking of Zane, basically just to get you up to speed on what the heck is going on. Very uncomfortable session last week, of course, having just experienced the loss of Tyler. But we've had, wow, I don't even know how to describe the week. I've got some thoughts about it, and I'll be anxious for Lori to pipe in as well on some observations. But let me just give a shout out here to folks that we've got. Ron from Detroit. Hey, buddy. Hope you saw my information last week about the sign. Thank you so much, Aaron, for sending that awesome sign of Zane's down here and giving me the opportunity to meet a couple of fantastic people, young people that get it, in Oksana and Nano. Just great to meet them. And Aaron, I invited them to come do the 5K with us next summer in Woodstock, and they have agreed. So what a great encounter with them, and thank you for that, Aaron. All right, Aaron's in there. Matt's responsible for me knowing Aaron. So Matt's one of Zane's battle buddies. Thank you, Matt. Let's see. Lori is in there. Z&T. Lori has been incredible. Can you imagine a mom enduring these things? More about that in a minute. My good friend Amy is in there. Hello, Amy. Carl and Peggy from Warsaw, Missouri are in there. Hey, guys. My good buddy Daryl's in there. S2, Steve Shirley is in there. Hey, Steve and Kathy. Jimbo's in there. There's my dad. I love you too, Dad. My dad's in there. My dad is my hero. My dad is the one I learned so much from. He didn't know it, but I watched him close as I was growing up. I watched him change things on the car. I watched the way he treated people. I just watched him, and I'm a better person for it. So good to have you in there, Dad. Ken's in there. Katie's in there. Kathy Cobb is in there. Hello, Kathy and Gordon. Got some people from Tampa in there. I don't know if that's Amanda or some others. I got a lot of friends in Tampa. I'll tell you what, I love Tampa. If I was independently wealthy, Lori and I would have a place in Tampa and a place in Atlanta. But that's probably not going to happen. But I sure do love all of my friends in Tampa. I have so many friends down there. I love it. Let's see. My Aunt Mary's in there, down in South Georgia. Mark Benton's in there. Hey, Mark. High school buddy of mine, Mark, and Tommy is his sister, and they were twins. They were twins, and the high school friends of mine there. Mark still lives in North Carolina, as does Tommy, I believe. But I got a chance to see Mark. Mark, you may not remember, but the very last reunion that we had there in Havelock, I can't remember the year, but we did one there at the, I guess it's like the museum where they had the Harrier out front. Maybe it's the tourist center or something, but got a chance to see Mark and many others after all of these years. All right, let's see. Yeah, Ken says he did the same thing with that. I tell you what, as a dad, as a dad, you don't know the impact that you have on your kids. You don't know what they're watching. You don't know what they're seeing. I'll tell you, um, I watched my dad, and I learned from my dad. And uh, my dad was a Marine. My dad was a grunt. My dad was a ground pounder. My dad was a, a child born in the 40s. My dad um, joined the Marines at 17. My dad never finished high school. But of all the people I've known, and listen, I'm going to tell you about this in a little bit. I have a billionaire that emails me every morning right now and sends me scripture. But you know what? He doesn't hold a candle to my dad, who never graduated from high school. And Ken, I'm glad that you had that same experience with your dad. I learned so much from him, plumbing and electrical. He's probably looking back and he says, "What are you talking about?" But you know what? I learned that stuff by watching him being, you didn't call a plumber, you didn't call an electrician, you didn't, you did it yourself. That's where I learned that. And then when I bought my first house at the age of what, Lori? We had just gotten back from overseas, and we bought a house. We were in our 20s, and the house was from the 50s or the 40s maybe. And I had to learn real quick how to do all that stuff. And and then cars, vehicles, and I drew on watching my dad. Anyway, enough about that. But Rhonda's in there. Rhonda's a good friend of mine, been a colleague and co-worker of mine for a long time. Rhonda and I first met each other in 1999, and we have worked together in a couple of different capacities. Good to have you in there, Rhonda. I appreciate you, and Craig. My brother Brad's in there, echoing my sentiments about our dad. How did this turn into Father's Day? But I just hope that my boys, Tyler, Zane, and Jackson, and then eventually my grandsons, I hope that 30, 40 years from now, they can look back and be saying the same things about me that I can say about my dad, and that I will feel accomplished if that is true. So, okay. Rhonda, you were not 12. You looked 12. You were not 12. You were a young female engineer of very oddity today, let alone back in 1999. But I've admired you ever since, and consider you a good friend. Okay, well, let's see. What a preamble. Let's see what is going on here at the fabulous McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum. It has truly been an insane asylum, I tell you. I did last week's, very much fresh after losing Tyler. And we just did enough really to get through it. But I've had a week now to experience some things and reflect on some things, and I have some observations. And let me just tell you what's going on around here. We're going to make it. I told my boss today, she reached out to me. She's been absolutely fantastic. Nicole is her name. And she asked me how I was doing. And she didn't have to do that, but she cares about me. And I said, I'd be lying if I say I'm fine. But, we're going to make it. We're going to make it. It just sucks in the moment. But I'll tell you what's kept us, at least kept me, is knowing that you guys are out there pulling for us, supporting us, praying for us, praying for us, praying for us, praying for us. Yes, that is so powerful. But thank you guys for that. We feel it. Our daughter Charlotte flew in. She was in Australia when Tyler passed a couple weeks ago, and she flew in for a few days. I picked her up at the airport last week, and she spent the weekend with us. And I said, Charlotte, you didn't have to come down here. She says, no, Dad, I needed to. And I took her back to the airport today, and she's back in Chicago now. And she would still be here, except that she's a busy woman, and she has to be in DC. She actually is going to be at the FBI headquarters for some meetings this week, and in DC, and then back home. And she's got a whole slate of travels. But I think she was so happy to spend some time with her brother and sister Hannah and Jackson, and I know it was very beneficial for the three of them to stay connected and commiserate in the loss of their brothers, their big brothers. But so she's back home. But we're so grateful. This week, we've had so many calls and so many messages and texts and emails and phone calls and cards and flowers and food. I'll tell you, food is a healing agent, and it relieves you from having to worry about that next thing, right? Somebody was, I think it was my friend Carrie up in Springfield, or was it Amy? One of you posted something about things that have to continue going on, things that have to be done, even when we suffer a tragedy. And it's so true. I shared the story on there last week, just a few days after Zane had passed, or Tyler had passed. I went out for my walk. My walk is so therapeutic. If I miss a walk, I really feel like I haven't had a complete day. So I look forward to my walk more. My walk is more in here than it is body. It's more mental than physical. It's an hour departure from reality, and I get a lot of thinking done in my walk. So I came back from my walk, and I decided to blow some leaves in the yard. The leaves are starting to fall, and I'm out there blowing my leaves. And my neighbor, Mike and April, they're the ones that had the house fire 18 months ago, and they just moved back in. And Mike found out from a friend of his that lives in the neighborhood about Zane, about Tyler. And so he saw me out there blowing leaves, and he walks over and says, "Guy, man, I'm so sorry about your son." And he said, "What are you doing out here blowing leaves?" And I'm like, "It has to be done. I mean, things don't stop. I mean, life has to go on. Somebody's got to blow the leaves. Somebody's got to." Anyway, I so appreciate Carrie or Amy who posted that. And maybe it was Amy, because she said she posted it from something I posted a couple years ago or something. I don't know. It all runs together. But that's kind of how this week has been. It's been just absolutely crazy. One thing that's been consistent is what the love that we have felt from everybody. The food, I was getting to the food. I mean, that's something else we don't have to worry about. People have been so great about making food, sending food, bringing food. Just the various gifts people have given it. It's an amazing thing. I think I want to write a book about, and I think Lori will agree, people tend to come to us now and ask us how to deal. Like if they have a friend that loses a loved one, especially a child, it's such an uncomfortable thing. People don't know what to say and how to react. And they start to come to us and ask us for advice. And I'm like, which is good. I love it. I love it. I never thought I would it would happen again. Um, but I always tell people, people mean so well. I tell you, people mean so well, and it's such an uncomfortable thing. Um, and I just tell people, just do what you're led to do, and say what you're led to say. Um, if you're led to say, "Hey, guy, let me know if there's anything I can do for you," that's fine. Um, or just actually do it. Like send a meal or so, that's the advice I give people. I'm like, people are hesitant to people that are in a grieving, they're probably not gonna reach out to you and say, "Man, it'd be nice if I didn't have to worry about dinner tonight." Um, my advice is always I'm not telling you guys to do this. I'm just saying my advice is always to people, um, just do what you're led to do. But I'll tell you what, I will never, ever, ever critique anybody for the way they respond. It is such um, it is such a difficult thing to deal with. People don't know what to say, how to respond, how to react. And Lori and I have learned that um, over the years. But we're so grateful for everybody that's reached out to us. I'll tell you what not to do. Here's what I'll tell you what not to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Um, um, what not to do is avoid the person who's just suffered a tragic loss. Don't avoid them. Just listen to them. Tell them you're praying for them. Don't avoid them. Don't Because it is uncomfortable. Now, I'm not going to judge anybody for that because I used to do it. I've talked about this before. It's so uncomfortable that people will avoid it. My advice is don't. My advice is rise up in spite of how uncomfortable it is and reach out to that person and tell them that you love them and that you're praying for them and that you're thinking about them. That's always been my advice. But anyway, we have felt all that, and we appreciate everybody reaching out. We got the most awesome. We got the most awesome. I don't know how any other way to describe it, but a care package. We got this awesome care package from our main family, Abby and Will, and the kids, Jackson, Gavin, Colton, Paisley, Bear, and Kai. And if you remember, Colton and Paisley are Zane's children. They sent us a box. I can only describe it as a potpourri of stuff. To give you an example, this care package was populated, you could tell, by the kids. Just an adorable card from Paisley, adorable card from Colton, in their own words. A rock. There was a really nice rock. Lori theorized from Bear or Kai. There was, let's see, there was, oh gosh, Lori, help me. There was a basket, like a woven basket. There was a lanyard, a Navy lanyard. There was just this incredible collection of stuff that so symbolized those 8 individuals, Abby, Will, and the 6 kids. And it was just incredible. A book in there. There was a book in there. It was like the biography of Hyman Rickover. It was like, an engineer, one of the naval engineering. Just such a collection. I'll treasure that whole collection. A candle. It was just at every turn there was so much in there, and something that we almost missed. I missed it. Lori found it at the bottom of the box. Was a very nice. You guys know I'm a big challenge coin guy now, but there was a very nice challenge coin from CVN 79, the brand new USS John F. Kennedy. There's the commanding officer's challenge coin. If you guys remember, I went to the christening. I was invited by Will to the christening of this ship and went there a few years ago. But a very nice challenge coin there. I'm happy to have that. But just an awesome package from that main family. It was just so, as we were digging through the contents, I'm like, this is so Whitley family. It was just incredible. But I mentioned my colleagues at work. My team at work has been fantastic, and my manager today summed it up very nicely. She says, she's been so great. Guy, take whatever time you need. Do whatever you need. Let me know what you need. And she says, she knows I have this great fear of missing out. I have such a passion for what we're doing in this program that I lead at the company, which is only 3 years old and it's still spinning up. And we got these things starting in the United Kingdom and all the stuff I've talked about. And she knows I have this tremendous fear of missing out. The kids call it FOMO. But she says, don't worry about a thing. She says, your contribution here at work is missed, but your team is stepping up. And it's because of the way that you've prepared them. And I thought about that, and it made me feel really comfortable and confident about taking the time that I need to get things squared away and in good shape. And it's true, preparation is key. And the things that I've done with my team has prepared them to step up and continue on without me in my absence, hopefully not forever, because I need my job. But they have been so great. I have an awesome team. Ashley, who arrived in the UK today to spend the rest of the year. Rhoda, who lives down in Tampa. It's fantastic. She stepped up. Grant, who's in the London office, has stepped up in a great way. And I just brought a new person onto my team in London that's going to help me run that whole program, a young lady called Suki. And Suki has been fantastic. She wasn't really supposed to formally come onto my team till later this year, but because of the circumstances, she's come on right away. And I'm thankful to have that team helping me keep things moving forward. The president of my company, his name is Joe. We've developed a close friendship over the last few years, and he's been checking on me every few days. The president of our company, we have a $20 billion annual revenue company, and I'm just a little schmuck, but Joe has reached out and checked on me, and even I mentioned the founder of our company. I'll tell you his name, Dave Steward, Steward, Dave Steward. He is the wealthiest African-American in the world, and the most humble man that you'll ever meet. And he called me last week and we chatted, and he said, Guy, I'm gonna send you a scripture every morning for the next 30 days. And without fail, it's the first email I get every morning. And for him to take the time to do that is just fantastic, and I appreciate it. And everybody at my work, I'm blessed. I really am blessed. Everybody at my work has been fantastic. Too many to count. And but it has been a tough week. I tell you, it's been a very difficult week. If you've ever had someone pass away in your family, and I know that I've said this over and over again. I don't feel our loss is any more than anyone else's. I just have a loud mouth and a YouTube channel. But if you've lost a loved one and you've had to do the arrangements, you know that it's a stressful thing. It's something you didn't, in a lot of cases, people hadn't prepared for. That makes it a little more challenging. It's uncharted territory for a lot of people. First time I had ever done anything like this with Zane. And, now here we are 7 years later, I'm doing it again, but I want to tell you something. It has been an absolutely, totally 100% different experience. So that makes me know that every individual's experience and how they have to deal with these things and the situations they're presented with are so different. That's why there's no one prescription. So no one of us should try to tell someone else how to do something, deal with something so unique. There are some general guidelines, and I'm happy to share experiences and stuff, but I'll tell you, it has been so different with Tyler than it was with Zane. We're different. We're have different maturity levels. Our other children are different in different maturity levels. The circumstances of his death is different. His history is different. His wishes are different. It's so different. There's no common prescription for this. So every time you do it, I feel like it's going to be different. I'll tell you, I can understand why. You don't always, you have to take people's word for this and you have to observe it, but I can see why a tragedy in someone's life, especially something so tragic as losing a child or now two children, I can see that that's such a stressful, it's such a burdensome experience. I can see why it drives husbands and wives apart. I can see it now. I know the pressures because Lori and I, and she'll tell you, we are different. We are different people. That's why we attracted to one another. That's probably why we're still together, is we're so different. But I can totally understand now how a tragedy can now drive people apart, may be the wrong word, but I can see how a tragedy and everything surrounding a tragedy can cause families to break. I can see why. It's so stressful. Trust me, it is so stressful. People are so different. They respond different. They react different. The timing of which they react to things are different. You hope that you can gain consensus on things. The children want to do things one way or think things, husband and wife thinks things. And I just say all this to say, keep praying because it's a difficult, it is a difficult thing to deal with, for sure. It's so intense and so stressful, even sometimes moment to moment, that I can see how it can break families apart. A tragedy, a common tragedy that you have together, you're mourning the loss of a common individual, and yet it drives you apart. I can see it. I'm not saying it's happening to us. I'm just saying I can see how that happens now. Oh my gosh, it is just a real thing. But anyway, we're not going to let it happen. But I can see it's it's just such an emotional, stressful thing. But anyway, Now, the other thing that's made this situation a little bit different, and I won't say too much about this, but this certainly has contributed to the high level of stress, the tension that exists, is we really don't know yet what happened to Tyler. With Zane, it became very clear. Um, we found Zane. Tragic. I'm scarred from the experience, but we found him. We very quickly had a cause of death. We don't have that yet with Tyler. We don't have a cause of death. We have unanswered questions. We have clues. We have hearsay. I've spent days and days on the phone trying to get to the bottom of it. I'm committed to getting to the bottom of it. And as time goes on, I'll reveal more and more about the why it's so difficult. Why it's so difficult to get answers. But I'm committed to find out what happened. We don't know. We don't even know how Tyler died. We just don't know, and we're working on it. We're working on it. It may take us a little while for things to develop. It's just, can you imagine not knowing? And when you don't know, it allows you to run through 100 scenarios in your mind, and you're trying to, and then you live those scenarios, and they're painful. The variety of scenarios that you think, what happened? Well, this might have happened. This might have happened, and it just weighs down on you. But we should have, hopefully, over the next week or so, a cause of death. We should have some more information. I can't say any more than that, but we do have. We believe that we have most of Tyler's belongings, which were meager. We're eventually going to tell the whole story of Tyler. Trust me. Lori's going to write a book about it. She's already has a book in her head after she finishes the book about Zane. She's already got a concept about a book to tell Tyler's story. And we're not bashful about sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly, but it's not the time right now. But we have many of his belongings. There are some things missing: wallet, cell phone. There are some things missing. But one thing that we do have is the Bible that Lori bought him and had sent to him. By the way, I see there's 25, 30 people in here tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining and listening to me ramble. So we have, Lori has his Bible, the one that she made sure he had. There's a couple of other Bibles in his belongings. Some notes that he took. It's all very encouraging things. Lori, he shared with Lori, that he was saved, I think back in January. And that is probably the most comforting thing that we have to hold on to. So Lori has that and some other things, but so we'll, here's the other there's other contention. We decided not to have a funeral service. We decided to have Tyler cremated. Lori was the closest to him, and she knew what his wishes were. But we decided not to have, for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons we decided not to have. That's why this is so different from Zane. That's why there's no cookie cutter thing. It surprised me. I thought, okay, I've been through this. I know, I'm an engineer. I'm a list person. I can run a checklist, right? The checklist did not apply this time. It's so different. Anyway, we decided not to have a service for a lot of reasons. Some very key people in his life couldn't have made it this week. We're having him cremated, so that changes the complexity of things. And we are committed to celebrating his life and who he was. He was our firstborn child. So anyway, we just want everybody to know that we're absolutely going to celebrate his life. We're absolutely going to mourn his loss at a service. It's just not going to be this week or next week. But it'll come. I want to tell the story of Tyler, and eventually we'll be able to. Anyway, long preamble today, but that's been what's going on here at the house, and we'll see what this coming week brings with some more discovery and us picking up Tyler's ashes and then figuring out what's next. But again, just to tie a ribbon on that and move on to the other items for Speaking of Zane, thank you guys so much for the prayers, the cards, the calls, the messages, the thoughts, the gifts, the food, the flowers, all of that. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. And we absolutely appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay. Wow. Well, it is football season. I did get an opportunity to watch a little football. Of course, Georgia Southern, they lost to Wisconsin. That's a big team for them. A&M did beat Louisiana Monroe. Not a fantastic game. Bama beat South Florida. There's a few teams I watch. I don't have an allegiance to any team, but I did watch Florida beat Tennessee. Georgia got a little scared, but they beat South Carolina. And then my favorite game of the weekend was the Colorado State game. I don't know if anybody else stayed up till 2:30 in the morning, but this guy did, and was not disappointed. I almost went to bed when they were down 8 points on their own fourth with like a minute to go. And if I'd have gone to bed, I'd have missed marching all the way down, scoring the touchdown, getting the 2-point conversion, and then 2 overtimes. Incredible story there, whether you like Dion or not. It's just an incredible story. But all right, no updates on the weight loss. I have stayed steady at 88 pounds in spite of all the food that keeps coming through the front door. I'm steady at 88, and I've got a goal to get to 90. That's my next goal. Little update on, I mentioned this young Marine at work who ran into some trouble, like a lot of folks do. Had a chance to talk with him. Had a chance to check on him every few days. He's back to work now. He's feeling confident. Getting connected with some resources there in St. Louis. I just want to stay on that and let you guys know how that's going. All right. Well, let's see. Hat of the week always has something to do with what's going on around here. And because our daughter Charlotte was in town, our FBI Academy graduate, who's actually going to be at the FBI Academy this week for some meetings on behalf of United Airlines, I decided to wear my FBI Academy hat. So that's the hat of the week. Okay, well, let's see. Got a few items to call out here in it's kind of this week in military history segment, but I missed this last week. I wanted to call out the fact that or maybe I did call this out, but it bears repeating. The very first KC-135 Stratotanker made its maiden flight on August 31st of 1956. I did mention this. It was called the City of Renton. But anyway, had that not occurred, many of us on this call and in my sphere of connections here, we would have had a totally different life, because that platform, that aircraft became the platform for the Airborne Command Post and all the variants and versions that we flew together through our time in the Air Force. Our life would be different had it not been for that airplane. Okay, Friday, September 15th was National POW MIA Recognition Day. We still have many unaccounted for sure. We sure do. And like Ken says there, tomorrow, September the 18th, is the United States Air Force birthday. It was on September the 18th of 1947 that the Army Air Corps said, we can do this without the Army. We're out of here. We're on our own. And the rest is history. So happy birthday, United States Air Force. I see a lot of chat going on there, but I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read it all. But looks like some challenges going on there about My Warrior's Place and some different things. Oh, I wanted to mention, I'm going to mention that here in a minute. My Warrior's Place. Don't let me lose that. Speaking of My Warrior's Place, today, and speaking of this week in military history, today, September the 17th, is Kelly Kowal's birthday. I will not tell you how old a woman she is. She's very youthful for the decade that she's in. But Kelly Kowal, the president and founder of My Warrior's Place, who we've become so fond of, today is her birthday. So happy birthday, Kelly. Kelly spent some time on her birthday today out on the range at the new My Warrior's Place location with her new sidearm. I couldn't tell from the picture, Kelly, what it was there, but if you're there tonight with us, pipe in and tell us if that's a Glock, a Taurus, or what. But looked like you had a little bit of gun therapy out on the new range at the new My Warrior's Place. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, Rhonda. Rhonda mentioned Rhonda's son Brock is going in the Coast Guard, right, Rhonda? Going in the Coast Guard. So keep us up to date on, speaking of Zane there, Rhonda, about Brock's journey in the Coast Guard. That is going to be fun to follow. I'm excited for that young man. He's in for a ride, that's for sure. And thank him. Tell him thank you. We all appreciate him stepping up. A few of us have. His dad did. So we appreciate you, Brock, and wishing you the best there in your journey. I have a lot of coastie friends, and I admire those who serve in the Coast Guard. Okay, so happy birthday, Kelly. How about yesterday? Yesterday was an item in this week in military history. It was my 42nd maybe, anniversary of joining the Air Force. Let me just say it was September 16th, 1981. September 16th, 1981. I was barely 18. And I showed up at Lackland, and the rest is history. look at the Speaking of Zane Facebook page for all those hilarious photos from back then. It was a great time. That decade, that 11 years, actually 11 years, 3 months and 15 days or something like that, were just fantastic. Foundational, shaping. I wouldn't change a minute of it, and I'm who I am largely because of that. I will celebrate it every September 16th. And then coming up this week, a very sad anniversary on September 20th. On September 20th of 2009, Kelly lost her son, Specialist Corey Kowal, in Afghanistan. And Corey was the inspiration. If you've read Kelly's book or know anything about My Warrior's Place, Corey and his tragic death was the inspiration for My Warrior's Place, which has since touched thousands of lives, including ours. So Kelly, thank you for taking the tragedy of the loss of your son and turning it into a positive for hundreds, thousands of people, and many, many more to come. Just an incredible example of taking a tragedy and turning it around to good and helping others. So Kelly, thank you. We love you. Okay. Yeah, Ken, we'll post that. Ken, I tell you what, I'm going to give you a little bit of a task here. Would you mind posting that on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group this coming week? We lost an E3 AWACS, call sign Yuckla27. Gosh, Ken, what's it been now? I don't know how many years, but Ken had a college classmate, college ROTC classmate that perished in that crash up in Alaska. So Ken, thanks for calling that out. Okay, well, let's move on. We had some cemetery visits this week. I know that Daryl, since we last calculated these, Daryl has made a couple of visits to Jefferson Barracks. My dad has made several visits to Evergreen, where my mom rests. Jimbo Miller has made 3 visits to St. John's, where his Deborah is, his father-in-law. And he has made 3 visits to Omaha National. And it looks like Amy has made 2 to Omaha National. So I'm going to get those. And then, yep, I missed that. My daughter Hannah made a visit to Georgia National. And, you know, Lori, you probably saw this. I don't know if you saw this or not, but Tyler visited Zane the day before he died this past week. He loved his brother. Loved his brother. So if I add all those up, 1, 2, 3, Mandos. We had 13, I count 13 visits this week. And we're sitting at 893 visits. Let me put my glasses on here. We're about to hit 900 cemetery visits. Just an amazing thing. I never, ever imagined that would be so popular among this group. But for those that are maybe tuning in for the first time, second time, we came up with this. We ended up calling it a challenge. Well, Lori and I, obviously, when we lost Zane, we became a little bit hyper-tuned into these veteran cemeteries we'd never had before. I'd visited Arlington and everything, but when we laid Zane to rest at a veteran cemetery, all of a sudden they became real places to us, and they became hallowed ground to us, and we just became hyper-tuned into where they were. We went on a trip to Texas. We stopped at a whole bunch on the way and on the way back. And then we said, man, this would be something kind of fun, maybe for the group to do. So we call it a challenge. And now, since we started that a few years ago, this group of patriots, relatively small group of people listening to this old man every Sunday night, we've almost visited 900 times. That's 900 more than we would have visited before Zane's passing. So thank you guys for doing that with us. We've done that at almost 200 different locations all across the world, actually. But thank you guys for doing that with us. I know Steve and Kathy visited Minnesota State Veterans Cemetery this past week as well. And then Amy, I got you for your Omaha National visits. All right, Think a Vet Challenge. We started doing this too, and you guys played along with us. We started sort of chronicling whenever we had an interaction with another veteran or a law enforcement officer or a first responder, and we just started keeping track of it. And the ones I know of from this last week, Daryl met a Navy Korean War vet, as did Kelly. I need to add that one. She had a Korean War vet she was telling me about that visited my Warriors place. And Jim had 4, all Air Force this past week. Paula had a Vietnam vet, a Navy vet. I had some, but I just can't remember them, so I'm not going to count them. But I think we had at least 9 thank yous this week. We're up to 2,311. So since we started tracking these interactions, we've had 2,311 of them that we chronicled, probably many more than that. But appreciate you guys doing that with us. I'll tell you what, and those people that are serving or have served, they deserve a thank you, don't they? I think so. So, oh, here comes Steve Shirley. We're going to add 3 more for Steve. See, I got a spot here for Steve. So that'll be 12. We add 3, that makes 23, 14. And then we have a standing challenge. I think if we get to 2,500 thank yous by the end of the year, we're at 2314 right now. Ken has challenged us with a donation. He's going to make a donation to my Warriors place when we get to the 2,500 thank yous mark, and he's challenging the rest of us to match that. So keep your eyes on, speaking of Zane, as we get closer to the end of the year. That'll be a lot of fun. Ken, thank you for, tell you what, there's nothing wrong with a little friendly competition, right? I love it. Love it. Okay, well, how about organizations? I do have a couple updates. The Georgia Run for the Fallen. First time we've been really known about it was last year. A friend of Hannah's runs in it, and he knew about Zane, and so he added Zane to the list. This year, they run across the state of Georgia and raise awareness and whatnot. But it runs it's October 6th through 8th this year, October 6th through 8th. And Zane's name will be recognized and called out at a particular mile marker on the 8th, which I believe is October 8th. I believe it's a Sunday. It's the end of the race, and it culminates at Fort Benning, Georgia, which is where Zane started his Army career, obviously as an infantry guy. But Zane's marker is like the last. It's not the last one or the next. It's like the 3rd or 4th to the last. October the 8th So planning to be there. I don't know if Lori will be here. She may be in England still, but one or both of us will be down there at the mile marker where they recognize Zane. That'll be fun. I look forward to chronicling that. Okay, let's see. And then, of course, running to honor. I mentioned that our friend A.A. Ron up in Michigan has declared that the 2026 Running to Honor will be all about Specialist Zane Colby McDonald. And I cannot wait for that. We can't wait to get up there, Aaron, and meet you guys face to face in person in Michigan and actually do the 5K there in Michigan. It's going to be great. I mentioned My Warrior's Place. Hurricane Idalia flood cleanup continues down there. I was talking to Kelly yesterday, Saturday. They had a group out there helping clean up. All kind of groups coming out to help. It's just wonderful to see. Kelly's new book is available, My Service Dog's Place. You can get it on Amazon or other places. It is available, I'm told, as of the 15th. So here's some news about My Worst Place. Now, I don't know how much of this I can tell. Hang on a second, because Lori's got my attention in the chat there. Let's see. Abby. Oh, Abby's in there. Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Colton thanked the man at a festival. Okay. What? That's my boy right there. Wow, that's awesome. Good. I can't wait to talk to Colton about that. Thank you, Abigail. We love you guys. Yes, Barb, those do count. Yes, I'll get those added next week. Yeah, put it on the. Yeah, that puts you on the board, Barb. Yeah, put it on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, because that way that's what I go look at on Sunday afternoons when I'm populating the list. So, oh, awesome. Okay, awesome. All right. I love you, Colton. That's my buddy right there. All right, let's see. So My Warrior's Place. So you can get Kelly's book. It looks like Ken's got some extracurricular fundraising going on in the chat there. we got some hurricane cleanup happening down there. We got a challenge, veteran thank you challenge going on to benefit My Warrior's Place. So awesome. We love My Warrior's Place. I absolutely love our connection to My Warrior's Place. I look after the Wi-Fi network there, and there was a couple of the access points that were down. Kelly, we're talking about you. There was a couple of access points down there, and I had two of my buddies, Nathan and Gage, who I work with. I gave them a call. They live down in Kelly. Where did I say they live? Not Sarasota, but close. They live down in gosh, what's the little what is the little hamlet down there? Anyway, Lakewood Ranch. They live in Lakewood Ranch, just south of Ruskin. So I said, hey, Nathan and Gage, we got a little trouble with the Wi-Fi network, the coverage, the wireless umbrella at My Warrior's Place. Can you guys run out there and take a look? And I can monitor the whole thing. So I know exactly what's going on. I just, when there's a physical problem, somebody's got to run out there. Anyway, so Nathan and Gage, who I work with, Nathan was a Marine. I said, guys, do you think you can run up to My Warrior's Place and take a look? And I told them exactly which two to go look at and where they're located. And sure enough, they got there on Saturday. They hooked up with Anthony there at My Warrior's Place, and they discovered the problem, got everything fixed, and now everything is back up and running at My Warrior's Place. I'll tell you, I love doing that for My Warrior's Place. I love monitoring that, looking over that, and then it sucks when something breaks, but that's just life. It's awesome that we're able to help with that, and I'm so grateful for Nathan and Gage for running up there and spending some time getting that squared away for us. And I had been anticipating, Kelly, that we would eventually be picking up all of that equipment and moving it to the new location. But I think I'm wrong in assuming that now, because I don't want to give too much away, but I think there's some things in the work that the existing My Warriors Place property may stay in operation even with the new location. I'm not going to give too much away there. I'm going to wait for Kelly to make the formal announcement on that, but it looks like that the Wi-Fi coverage and everything at the existing Ruskin location is going to stay where it is, and we're going to continue to operate that. So, okay, well that's it. And then the official grand opening for My Warriors Place, the new location in Punta Gorda, is on November 12th. November 12th. So I'm hoping that my friend Ken can meet Lori and I down there at the grand opening. That would be great on November the 12th. Awesome. Okay. Also, I saw from my Nebraska friends that this weekend, yesterday and today, was the annual Memorial Golf Tournament, the annual Corporal Dagan Page Foundation Memorial Golf Tournament down there at the Beaver Lake area where his folks lived. And so I don't know if anybody has a report on that, or maybe we can get a report for next week on how many people participated and did it raise funds that'll be used in a particular way. But that's great that Greg Page, Dagan's father, continues to carry on the legacy of his son like Kelly does her son, to the benefit of others. And it's just fascinating what people do, and I love it. Okay, Rhonda, see you later. I'm going over. This is the longest I've gone for some time, but I think I'm at the end here, where I tell you all thank you for joining tonight. Speaking of Zane, been a very emotional last couple of editions of Speaking of Zane, for sure, as now we sort of regroup as a family and figure out what does this mean now losing Tyler, and how do we honor him. We haven't even put him to rest yet, so we're premature in that. But I want to make sure that Tyler's not forgotten. He was a good man. He was a good man. It has a couple of awesome kids, but more and more about that later. But thank you all for joining tonight. I sure do appreciate it. As I mentioned, this is therapy for me. You guys are my therapist every Sunday night, and it would have been very easy the last two Sunday nights not to do this. Trust me, I've got a lot on my mind. But because of you all, that's the motivation to get on the air and carry on with Speaking of Zane. Like Kelly has carried on with My Warriors Place, and like I carried on with blowing leaves and doing yard work. Those things have to be done. We do have a moment to grieve, but there are things that have to be done. And I consider Speaking of Zane one of those things. And I appreciate all of you guys joining as usual. I do love your posts in Speaking of Zane. And whenever you have a cemetery visit or a veteran or first responder interaction, post them there. I'll see them and calculate them, and just appreciate you guys sharing everything with us. And have a great week. We don't know what our week has in store for us, but we do know that as long as you all are thinking about us and praying for us, that we'll get through it and make it around again till next Sunday night for another edition of Speaking of Zane. And I'm already looking forward to it. So God bless you all, and we'll see you again next Sunday night.